of this. A Norfolk carer who's been fined twice for parking illegally while doing her duty says people who do her job need parking permits. Tracy reckons the fine pretty much cost her a day's wages, all because there was nowhere near her client's home. She says parking where it was permitted would have meant a long walk, and that then would have caused her to be late for that appointment and then the rest of her engagements during the day as well. Her proposal is for Norfolk County Council to adopt a scheme like Devon already has. It's a permit system which allows carers who are on duty to park in some restricted areas. Well, Andrew Turner has been working on this story for us. I had a chat with him yesterday about the struggles that Tracy's been having.
Tracy told me that she gets just 5 minutes time to get between clients, and with general traffic, the potential for roadworks, traffic lights against her, and then finding a safe and legal parking space near to the client is nigh on impossible at times. And of course, if you slip 5 minutes with each client over the day, you could end up being an hour or so late by the end of the day. And being late is disruptive for the care clients. They might have routines, or if they need help getting dressed, for example, or taking medication, their whole day can go off kilter. And so the pressure builds up on carers like Tracy. And she said that that's led her, on occasion, to park on double or single yellow lines, or places where waiting is limited, maybe loading bays and things like that. And twice recently, she's been given parking tickets.
That day, I basically worked for nothing, but you know, I've got a commitment to my vulnerable people that I'm trying to care for, so I'm committed to them. But at the same time, I don't want to be fined for doing it. It just isn't fair, and I know a lot of the other my work colleagues, they don't like being fined either.
No, she's identified a problem, Andrew, but what is really interesting here is that she's also suggesting a solution, isn't she? She's come up with an idea that would work a little bit like the disability blue badges that we're so used to, a sort of permit system.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's pretty much for people who have a blue badge, they're allowed to park on single and double yellow lines as long as they aren't causing an obstruction or a danger to traffic or pedestrians, and they can have up to 3 hours in that spot. And Tracy told me that there is a system for carers that's already operating in Devon.
Devon has a scheme for carers so that they can park for up to 3 hours, whether it be a yellow line, a single yellow line, or in a restricted area like waiting time's only an hour. But it's like as well, if we have to call an ambulance, we might be there more than half an hour or 3 hours. So we are restricted to where we can park in that sense.
Now, you might think there's a difficulty in tweaking laws, rules and regulations, and that someone will say it's not possible. But when questioned, the road minister has sent some guidance after Tracy got in touch with her MP, Brandon Lewis. He says it's down to county councils as to whether they grant permits that allow flexibility on parking restrictions for certain people, and indeed the county council could adopt a policy where it nullifies parking fines for carers who are on duty. But Tracy says that twice she's appealed with backing from her manager, and that each of those times it's failed and she's had to pay the fine.
Back to this system in Devon you've mentioned, Andrew, it does come with some rules, doesn't it? This isn't as if it's carte blanche just to abandon cars anywhere.
No, not at all. I've checked this with Devon County Council and they have confirmed they have this scheme running. It's actually got details on their website as well, which anyone can look up. But they said there are some very strict rules. They can only be used by a visiting registered carer or healthcare professionals while they are delivering care to the client in their home. Traffic wardens indeed can check with the carer's employer to see if they are rostered on to be in that area at the time that they're parked. They can't use it to run errands, such as doing the shopping or picking up medication. They're not allowed to be used to take a client to an appointment or out for lunch or for a breath of fresh air. They can only be used while the carer is at the client's premises delivering care. But Tracy said to me that she'd be happy with that. Now, she's written to Kate Mason-Billig, the leader of Norfolk County Council, asking them to bring in this style of parking permit. I've been told that she's on holiday at the moment, and we will be hearing from a Labour County Council later in the programme, who was until 2 years ago the county's care champion. So it might be something that gets discussed in the future.
Well, it's an interesting idea, isn't it? This isn't just... What I like about this story is it's not just somebody coming forward and talking about what's happened to them and saying that they feel hard done by. It's actually suggesting a solution to it as well, which is the idea that permits could be brought in for carers who have the appointments going around to people's houses each day, where they could be given these permits to park more flexibly. It doesn't mean, just to absolutely go over this, it doesn't mean they can just park the car wherever they like, sort of on a street corner or or on double yellow lines, no matter what. It will be within the realms of what is sensible. And they do it in Devon already, so it perhaps isn't beyond the realms of possibility. What do you think? If you are a carer, maybe you have carers come to you, or someone you know, one of your relatives, how much of an issue is parking for them? If you can't get near the person's house, then you're going to be late, then you're going to be late getting back to your car, then you're going to be late for all your appointments the rest of the day. It's a real issue, and if you do chance it, you might get fined, and then it's a good proportion, if not a whole entire day's wages gone if you're not careful with parking fines. So what do you think? Already some reaction coming into this, Tim, haven't we?
Yes, Mark in Norwich says, I live in Thorpe on the main road. We've got a grass verge that carers park on for 15 minutes max, even though they're completely off the road. Because it's double yellows, they're still getting tickets, which is just wrong. This is exactly the kind of thing that hopefully these permits would perhaps sort out if they were brought in. And Wendy in Norwich says, when I lived in a particular street in the 80s, they brought in permits. What we used to do, the carer would come up to me, take my permit and put it in their car. Why can't other clients do the same thing?
I would guess they do if you're talking about particular streets where there's residents parking.